Well, first of all, your bottom line is you are in business to make money. If you are not using your talent efficiently, effectively allowing people to grow and not having internal glass ceilings, then you are limiting your success.
Learning to swim is about learning from others. Be the author of your own story, not a character in somebody else's story. Get inspired by others to take action. Learn how to set goals to exceed your own expectations. So often the answer that you are looking for is right in front of you. On Learning to Swim, we highlight those answers through storytelling. Good morning and welcome. We've got Reginald Grant with us on Learning to Swim today, and I didn't mean to cut you off there, but how are you doing this morning?
I am exceptional as always. Today is cast the best day of my life.
I love your positivity. I wanted to start and just jump in on the Learning to Swim questions, which you have not been prepped on. So we heard a little bit about your background, and I would love to ask you what resilience means to you.
Resilience, the ability to continue to drive forward regardless of the circumstances, the obstacles, the challenges of life. Without, as I said to my aunt who's 80 years old recently, you can feel the pain, you can feel the pleasure. So, enjoy the trip. The journey is an adventure, and resilience is just continue to drive forward, to grind along, to overcome the obstacles, to take the obstacles as challenges, to move forward, and failure is part of the steps to success.
Well said. Well said. And then what does failure look like to you?
Failure means you quit. And you should never quit. And regardless of the situation, you may have to adapt, you have to adjust, you may have to change, but you don't quit. So failure is just the mental mindset of quitting and not following through. People don't succeed because they quit before they get through the challenges. Nobody is perfect. We strive for perfection, but we work through that and settle for exceptional. So failure is just stopping. That's the only thing it is.
So because you have a long background with playing team sports at a very high level, you were an Oregon Duck and also a former NFL player, and you've also done a myriad of other things. What has informed your opinion or your thoughts about failure and resilience most in your life, would you say?
Well, I guess it starts right in the home. My parents and my father and mother were resilient people. They moved from Atlanta, Georgia to Seattle, Washington, 3,000 miles to give myself, my sister, and my brother the opportunities that we've had in our life to open up the world, that the world is a beautiful place. It is an ugly place, but more importantly, you choose what space you decide to be in. So I would say my parents laid that foundation of continuing to move forward, to take advantage of opportunities, to be proactive and positive, and to overcome whatever obstacles are in front of you.
Wonderful. So I personally feel like bringing our whole selves to each situation is kind of a one way to exceed and excel in any situation. And one of the things that I talk about a lot is being creative, and not so much creative in the artistic sense, but creative in the problem solving sense. And I see curiosity as a component of creativity. I'm wondering how you remain curious, or what role does curiosity play within your day-to-day? As I mentioned in the introduction, you have been involved in many different entrepreneurial ventures, and you also are a business strategist. So how do you remain curious?
Well, again, learning is everything. Knowledge is the power. The mind is the most powerful vehicle, vessel, item on the planet, right? Intellectual property is the most valuable commodity, and especially in today's time. So it's always about learning to grow, be a sponge, to absorb things around you. Even when I was teaching for 17 years, I learned things from those 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17-year-olds more than I taught them. So just being open to receive the information, to receive the knowledge, to receive the power and wisdom of other people. And it's always about improving oneself and growing, no matter, even at my old age now, I still want to grow. I read an hour, at least an hour a day, try to absorb new information, try to be on point, to be aware of what's going on in the world. So my opinion is informed by knowledge. So we know that only 3% of people actually buy books, but the bottom line is intellectual property and knowledge are the power of today.
Yeah, very much so. Well, you mentioned reading, and I'm always curious to know, speaking of curiosity, what one of your favorite stories growing up was. And it could be a story perhaps that was read to you or shared to you, or a book that you read as a young person.
Well, one of the impactful books was Richard Wright's The Spook Who Sat by the Door, which is insight to an African American that was a positive person that actually got into the FBI and became that person that broke down barriers. So I believed in breaking down barriers my whole life. I've been a person that just didn't ask for forgiveness, not for permission. I remember owning a little tax service in Oceanside, California. After I had spent a tour in the Marine Corps, I had started a little tax service, and one of my associates and friends said, they're not going to let you open no tax service downtown Oceanside across from City Hall and police chiefs and all that. And I go, I didn't ask for permission, I just did it. And that's the beauty of America, with all its bumps and pimples and warts. We are still the greatest place in the world, the greatest place for opportunities. You can go out and do whatever it is you desire to do with perseverance, determination, focus, and a little hard work.
Is there a book or a story that you would recommend today for our audience?
A book? Well, you know, I was an English teacher for 17 years, so I read a couple of books. See, my kids have a couple of books, and the wife has a book or two. A couple of my favorite books. There's one, actually in my trunk of my car right now, that talks about success. And you are not the focus. It is your customer, your client, your friend, your wife, your kids. They're the focus, and they will help you go. I love the book written by Marriott. Talks about success and sales, and it's just about being kind to other people and being receptive to the other thoughts and opinions and perspective of other people. Here in America, one of our biggest problems right now is we just are not nice to each other. It's okay to have a difference of opinion, but we should be able to have civil dialogue, not abrasive, abusive, and just the right to have a different opinion.
Absolutely, I would concur. What would you say? We are in a pandemic. We are in a period where there has been a lot of, it feels like much more conversation around race, inequality, issues that have been, I want to refer to a really wonderful article that you wrote, Economic Inequity, the Foundation of Racism, and that was something that you wrote recently for the United Methodist Men Insight publication. And you talk about the perfect storm, not necessarily a good perfect, but a perfect storm of circumstances that have kind of highlighted these long-standing practices of racism and inequality within our society. What inspired you to write this article, for starters?
Well, again, it's just my perspective on the world. I live it. I'm a black man in America, so, you know, whether I have a shirt and tie on or a polo going to the country club to play golf, or a t-shirt going to the grocery store, I'm still a black man in America. It doesn't matter how smart you are, doesn't matter how much money you have, you just have certain things you have to deal with. And it is what it is. You want to do it in a positive and proactive way. And all of the things that have happened, the pandemic, the George Floyd incident, all those just brought the thing to a conversational point in our country. You can't grow without conversations. I said earlier, we need to be able to have conversations and dialogue in order to grow. Again, with all of our problems, issues, and concerns in America, we are still the greatest place on the earth with the greatest amount of opportunities. I'm just a poor black boy from Greenbrier Projects in Atlanta, Georgia, and High Point Projects in Seattle, Washington, that has had the opportunity to visit every major city in the United States of America. And most of the time, somebody else paid for that. So I've had tremendous opportunities here. And again, we have inequities, we have issues, not just with people of color, but with women, LGBT, all of those things that impact us, that should not impact us. Diversity is power. We as Americans have not harnessed that power effectively, and that's one of the things that can make us, again, the greatest power on the planet, is by embracing our diversity, our differences, and then understanding and appreciate all of those things that we have in common. Right? Yes. We have more in common than we have differences. We all inherently just want to have a good home, a good income, a good family life, and we just, need to ensure that everybody has as many opportunities as possible. And the more opportunities more people have, the more opportunities and more power we have as a people, because it allows us to take that great creativity we have in America and embed that and ride that wave to success and power and just growth.
Absolutely. Well, I would say pre-pandemic, travel was one of my favorite things to do, and not so much necessarily because it was always great to see different places, but really to be reminded of our similarities as people, as you referred to. And I feel like that can be such a powerful starting place, is to really look at the commonalities that we share. So I would agree with that. So given all that's been going on, would you be willing to share kind of one of, and this might be a new habit, or this might just be something that has been highlighted because of our current situation, but do you have a kind of a simple habit that you do each day that you that you would share, that you think helps you focus, or helps you kind of moving forward, or whatever that might be?
We all have good habits and bad habits, but it's about being mentally proactive and positive, right? The cup is half full, not half empty. How do you take what you have, where you're at, and empower yourself to be successful? And success for us is defined differently. We are all different people. We have different experiences. We have different goals. So just embrace who you are. Enjoy the moment. Today is cast the best day of your life, at least my life. Mm-hmm. Yesterday's a canceled check I can never retrieve. Tomorrow's a promissory note I may never collect. Today is cast the best day of my life.
I love that. So, what would be one word to describe your professional journey?
Change. Adapt. Adaptability. My ability to learn new things is what differentiates me. This allows me to be in control of my own destiny. I firmly believe that we are a land of opportunities, and we should all have some type of personal thing that we're doing that empowers us beyond our jobs, beyond our family. We should be empowering ourselves with the positivity to make a positive impact on the lives of others.
Absolutely. One word to describe your life in general, and it could be at this moment, or it could be kind of looking back over the accumulation of years.
My life. Just try to make a positive impact on other people's lives and in my space, whether it be through online, virtual, whether it be through personal interactions, whether it was I was a teacher, mentoring. I have a Reginald Grant mentoring program. I'm on the board for the Nationalized African American Athletes for the last 29 years, represent the premier award for African American male high school scholar athletes, 100 and some kids in the NFL, 30 active at any one time. couple Rhodes Scholars, some couple Heisman Trophy winners, some first round draft picks, some number one picks. But again, to find something that you're passionate about, and I got involved in that in 1996. So it's about finding something that you're passionate about that can make a positive impact on other people's lives. But what are you doing today to make a difference?
Yeah, absolutely. Tell me about your first job. So whether it was, whenever you stared working, I don't know what age that was.
University of Washington, as a gardener, picking weeds out of the ground, right? And again, I early realized that people that run the world had college degrees. So I wanted to be a professional athlete. Of course, every kid does. And I wanted to be a business person. I accomplished those, and I never thought I would be a teacher and mentor and all the other stuff that came along the way. But just be adaptable and open to change and just enjoy the journey. Smell the roses along the way.
So, as in going back, how old were you for the
13.
year? 13. Okay. And would you say there are any lessons or any connections from that very first job to what you do now?
Of course, the connection is I did not want to work with my hands and get them dirty all day and be physically doing manual labor. I don't even own a pair of jeans. I associate jeans with manual labor. So I don't even own a pair, right? We are the essence of our experiences. So for me, it's about understanding early that I want to think for a living. Intellectual property is the most valuable commodity on the planet. But Bill Gates doesn't make computers. He has thoughts that they accumulate that make the computer operate more efficiently, that make our lives easier and better and more efficient. And we're in a different space, but adapt to change and you'll be okay.
Absolutely. Well, one of the things that I talk about with clients and just in general, I'm fascinated with our bright spots and blind spots. And so what would you say along those lines if I were to talk to your daughters, your wife, your friends, colleagues, what is that one kind of talent or gift that everyone would say, oh yeah, Reggie, he does that. He's so great at that.
What am I good at? Adapting.
Okay.
I'm adaptable and I get a lot done because I'm efficient in terms of just organizing my thoughts, moving forward in a positive way, writing things down so that I can check off them every day. Now we can talk about my negative points too as well.
Well,
lack of tact.
Well, I was going to say, when we first met, you quite forthrightly shared your what you called a lack of tact or bluntness, but we also discussed that those maybe what could be perceived as less desirable traits, actually, and that's the whole point of the bright spots and blind spots, is just recognizing how these parts of us are, again, the whole of us. And when we bring our whole selves, we're usually bringing our best selves. And we talked about that, how your lack of tact, so to speak, allows it keeps the ball moving.
Right.
It doesn't. It means you're not wasting time.
Don't let other people dictate how and where I spend my time. That's a big component. Is people will waste your time and energy and take you down a path you should not be going down. You have to be able to say no more than you say yes, and pick and choose the things that you focus your life and your time and your energy on. We all have that ability. We are in control of our mindset. And have to choose to be positive and choose to be proactive and choose to impact others in a positive way and not be distracted and get off focus. That's one thing that, when I coach these CEOs, we work with a lot of startups and CEOs through our ESI pitch events we do around the country, is that CEOs too often get distracted by the things that are not important. You have to stay on task, you have to stay focus on the goal, and those goals are always going to be changed. It's a moving target. You achieve one thing and now you have 6 other things to get done. So just be aware that you always have to be moving forward in a positive way. And again, you learn from your experiences. If you're open to that. You have to be like a sponge and learn from your experiences.
Absolutely. And would you be willing to share, is there maybe a less obvious talent or skill that you have, a hidden talent perhaps, that you might share with us?
But again, I write a little bit, so I share my thoughts and that was honed when I became an English teacher. So the ability to take thoughts out of my brain and put it on paper, that would be, I guess you would call it a hidden talent, even though I've written 8 or 10 books. But yes, the ability to take it out of my brain and put it on paper, that's just a different skill, but I have the ability to do that.
I would concur, and in fact, we'll put a link to this most recent article in the show notes because it's quite powerful. If you know, we've talked about the importance of diversity and what a superpower it can be for the United States as a whole, and individually for businesses and companies and organizations. Where is, in your experience, what are most employers or most of the folks who are kind of in charge, what are they missing? What is the most common piece that they're missing about this, the diversity question?
Understanding that they have personal biases and not let their biases cloud the opportunities and cloud the use of talent within the organizations. There is so much wasted talent within most organizations. That's why they're not efficient or as profitable as they can be. And the statistical data bears that out, whether you go to Entrepreneur Magazine or go to Forbes Magazine. There's many articles related to the fact that we have a much more diverse group that's servicing or being put together as a team. They have more success to make more profit. The world is a diverse place. If you don't have a diverse group, then you can't have a diverse voice. You can't understand the different strata and differences of different cultures, subcultures within our country. Because we have hundreds of different groups of people here that all come from different backgrounds, and we are all impacted by our own individual subcultures and how we adapt and adjust to the mainstream culture. The mainstream culture is all of us, but we are a sum of our pieces, not just one big piece.
And where do you think, is it in the, so it occurs to me that there are issues within how we hire people. There are issues within how people are evaluated and promoted once they are part of an organization. I think that also, people can get, they can be hired for a certain position and their skill set, they probably have a skill set that goes beyond the narrow job description that they were hired for. Is it a lack of professional development? Is it, people pay a lot of lip service to mentoring programs, but I don't know that sometimes it seems like it's a lot of talk and not necessarily a working structure that's within an organization. Is there, if you had to tackle one of those in terms of increasing diversity and equity and inclusion within organizations or companies, where do you start?
Well, first of all, your bottom line is you are in business to make money. If you are not using your talent efficiently, effectively allowing people to grow and not having internal glass ceilings, then you are limiting your success. I was just talking today about a company that the owners are just siphoning off all the profits from the company by taking exorbitant salaries for the management team. But they're not leaving that money so that they can grow. It's just the same thing with talent. Companies too often talk about training and diversity and all that, but it's lip service. So they're actually hurting their bottom line by not allowing the creativity internally. And it's about creating a culture of inclusion, a culture of success, a culture of empowerment, a culture of allowing people to use their talents in ways that inherently we all have biases, but you have to try to create a system that minimizes personal biases and allows for the growth of your internal employees so that they can add value that you never thought about. You think of things in a different way than I do. So when we're together, we have much more power because we have different perspectives. So we can add value because of those different perspectives, and the conversations we can have can be more effective and target the ability of our company to be more profitable.
Well said. Well, we're just about to wrap up. We are going to take a quick tour of your facility. But what is the one question you wish I had asked you?
The one question? Oh, I have no clue. I'm just a little worker bee. I'm just a poor black boy from the projects that's had a little success in America. It is the greatest place on the planet. Again, we are not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but we have opportunities galore if you're willing to understand that you have to adapt to change, understand that there will be obstacles and challenges, understand along the way there will be failures, because failures are your steps to success, and just be persistent and dogmatic and determined to live your dream. As one of my students said to me, I was teaching international students from French Jewish students from Paris, France, over here in Los Angeles at American Jewish University. One of the students said to me, "You've lived the American dream." I had never thought of my life in those terms. But it's so true. I had, went to college on a full scholarship through my athletic abilities. I graduated from that university. I was able to play professional football, have been a businessman, a teacher, and just had an opportunity to live a great life. And I just appreciate all the people that contributed to opening the door and opening my mind to those opportunities. Thanks, Mom and Dad.
Mm-hmm. Well,
and
thank you. Thank you so much, Reggie. And you are, as I mentioned in the introduction, your generosity is really, you exude it, and you really, you walk the walk. So you're an inspiration. Thank you for being on Learning to Swim today.
Thank you for allowing me to be on Learning to Swim. I'm Reginald Grant. Have a great day.
Thank you. Our goal is to inspire others and share stories to find meaning in your daily life. Let go of the traditional norms and be yourself at home, work, and beyond. The awareness of bright spots and blind spots is a performance-enhancing tool that you can apply to your life and to your organization today.